Alright, good morning everyone. Well, good afternoon, as it were. I know this one's a bit late, but I was actually hanging out in the T-Shirted Historians live stream, watching the interview with Rein-Hagen, who came up with one of my favorite tabletop role-playing games, Vampire the Masquerade. Learned a lot about him, learned about where his style came from, and just found out, because he did just launch it, he has a new tabletop RPG out called The Badlanders, and it's up on Kickstarter, so I'll be putting that link in the description below, and if you'd like to play this game, or you'd like to back it, even so much as $1 would help, it would truly be appreciated. Alright, so today, Straight Tarot Tuesday, and I broke out a deck we haven't really used in a while. Raven's Prophecy has been sitting here on my coffee table and has not been getting any love lately. It's one of those decks that's, well, it's in a box all its own, and a very lovely one that was given to me as a gift, along with this cloth, and yeah, I guess sometimes out of sight, out of mind, but it always stayed in mind for me. So I really wanted to break it out and show it a little love today, and consult this deck and see what it had to tell us, because it is one of my favorite decks. It's one of the ones that really kind of pushed me to get started, and guess who's decided to join us today? And no, he will not be fed until 11 p.m. He's already been fed, and there he goes to the, putting his face to the ground while I scratch between his shoulder blades. Yeah, boy. You gonna lay down or what? Got your fix of daily bub here. Oh yeah, he's gonna lay down right there. There we go. Yeah. Laying down at my feet. So, let's see what your cards have for today. Oh, yes, I did make an appearance on the Basic Experts live stream, which is up. You can go view it. And you'll see I had some fun last night. It's definitely not me being so serious. Because, well, I was on there to have fun with the boys, and just, there were some serious things discussed, namely gatekeeping, or the allegations of it. As a matter of fact, gatekeeping, done in tabletop or RPG circles, let me tell you what it consisted of back then. And yes, I'm going to admit I partook, and I even engaged in gatekeeping. What was gatekeeping? Well, it was simply this: if you don't like this game, don't play it. If you don't like this music, don't listen to it. Well, if you don't like these books, don't read them. If you don't like my shirt, quit looking at it. That was it. That's it. That's all the gatekeeping there was. And no, we're not being sanctimonious. We're being realistic. Grow up and act like an adult. And unfortunately, there was someone who could not take that advice, and proceeded to block me for it. And fine, nothing of value was lost. Anyway, let's get down to it, because I'm excited for this one. I don't know why, I just am. Start with you, 6 of Wands, starting out in that winner circle. Don't you know, Moots did a card pull today, and the 6 of Wands did make an appearance in the very physical. Guess where the significator lines up? Right there with the physical realm. Starting out in the winner circle is not a bad deal at all. That's a great deal. That's, you've made it. You have powered through all the little rough spots and things like that, and now we're going to see if you reap any rewards from it. I mean, standing in the winner circle is always a great thing. And it can apply to anywhere in life. You made it through that tough week, you made it through that tough day, you made it through that tough spot, whatever it is. Now let's see if, let's see what else is going to happen. We've got a 4 of coins here. We do have the devil, and this is all in the mind right now. And we have a king of swords. So, at present, you're holding on a little too tightly to some things. You've got everything wound up. How many of the sticks in this bundle can you see? Well, you can only surmise from what you can see, right? And if you unbundled that, you would have an idea of just how much you have. Quit holding on too tightly. You have a really good idea of what you actually have in front of you, and that's what's most important. It's not good to keep it all bundled up all the time, because then you become stuck on it. You become completely wrapped up in it, tied to it, addicted to it. You can't break free from it. Not a good place to be. Mentally speaking, right now, it seems like you're desperate to hold on to the victory, but you become addicted to it. You know there are things to be learned in loss, right? But you know what? Mark Rein-Hagen brought up some interesting stuff when he was talking about his RPGs. I never really noticed this before, but I did own a couple different 2nd edition D&D player's guides. And they are not thin books, ladies and gentlemen. Those things are pretty thick. And there's all this intricate stuff you can put into your character. In comparison, the 1st edition player's handbook was a little thinner. Today's player's handbook is a little thinner. But do you want to know what the thinnest player's guide really was? Vampire the Masquerade. It was one of the thinnest books that I owned. And so was the core rule book. Now, when Vampire the Requiem came out, it was a much thicker core rule book, and nobody wanted to use it because they'd taken out parts of the lore which we kind of thought as a group playing was a little crucial. We actually liked some of those parts, and they stripped it of most of what we liked. Even the clans were kind of watered down, and well, even though I spent good money on that book, that was the one book I didn't mind losing in the move. Just kind of putting it out there. Now, the thing was, in those books, characters were more restricted. There was a definite sense of danger for your character. Your character could die. But when it comes to restriction of your character, putting it into a certain box, there's also the potential for some creative thought. And this is mastery over your thoughts. Your thoughts end up becoming your actions, or your thoughts become your words become your actions. Sometimes, unless you're a politician, of course, then your words mean nothing, and your actions clearly speak in the opposite direction. That's life, ladies and gentlemen. That's just how it is. So, if you're going to restrict yourself to constantly being addicted to winning all the time, well, you're going to have to really take control over what you're thinking. Okay, let's look at the physical, try to get a clearer picture here. We do have the chariot, so we do have forward movement here. We've got the lovers, so there's a partnership, just like the last time, but the difference is the lovers has moved from the significator to the very centerpiece of the entire portrait here. And then we have the Knight of Swords. Interestingly enough, it's also pulled that one right in the same spot, the physical. So let's look at the chariot for a minute. You really want to move forward. You know that you've got this. You're sitting in the winner circle and you know everybody loves a winner, right? And you want to move forward. You want to press on to that next victory. But here's the thing. You're going to have some very, very tight partnerships. You're going to have to do it with other people. You cannot keep doing it on your own. And then finally, the Knight of Swords, you're going to be about a lot of quick, decisive action. You're going to have to think on your feet very, very quickly, and you're going to have to do it in a way that doesn't break what you're, doesn't break your win streak. You gotta be a little careful with that quick action though, because sometimes it can break your win streak. And I think it's what you're most afraid of right now, is you're living in fear that the winning will end at some point. And when it does, what happens? Will it start going in the opposite direction? Ladies and gentlemen, with any kind of pendulum, if you pull it too far one way, it will swing that far to the other, and vice versa, until finally gravity takes hold, that partnership, and it reaches equilibrium. That's balance. Let's look at your spiritual. We have a Nine of Cups, we have a King of Wands, and we have the Eight of Cups. So right now, we're looking at this. This is your present situation in your spiritual realm. You are feeling full, you are feeling completed. It's a very real sense of vibrant accomplishment, so to speak. But here's the thing, you cannot rest on that. And you know this, you know it going forward. And I think that's what brings up the anxiety here. But it is muddling your ability to think clearly. It's muddling your ability to take control over what it is you're thinking. You're doing a lot of overthinking here, but you know what you need to do. It is very clear with this King of Swords what it is you need to do. This is not an Ace of Swords moment, it's a King of Swords moment. So not only do you have the clarity, you have the mastery of it, and you've got to keep that in mind. You've got to keep your mind focused. The Nine of Cups confirms your focus. It confirms what you're thinking. Also, the King of Wands is all about harnessing that creative energy. Whenever you bring your godlike power to create to the table, you will inspire others. So we are looking at inspiration here. You can still, with two kings in your reading here, you can still judge very fairly. You can still be a very fair arbiter. You don't have to pull too far one way or the other to experience that satisfying equilibrium. You can just let the pendulum hang. It's perfectly fine. It's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to disadvantage one to benefit the other, or benefit this one to disadvantage the other. It doesn't have to be that way. That's the key point. Because if you're still holding on to those thoughts, here's where it ends. It's time to move on from them. Time to move on from the anxiety. Time to move on from that which isn't serving you. Because physically, right here deep in your soul, you know that this is true. This is only a little symptom. This is the worry. But right here and here shows that you truly have nothing to worry about. So go claim your victory. Go out to accomplish for gold and glory, for conquest, and all that other good stuff. But make sure it's for good. Alright? And that's really all I have for you today. I guess this is the reason I was excited, because I kind of felt like we did have some good news after all the, looking in the mirror, taking a hard, honest look at yourself. It looks like you have, and now you get to move. Now you get to win. Now you get what is rightfully yours, because you're going to be putting in the work. And I think that's a great way to do it. That is a wonderful way to do it. Don't ever lose sight of that. Alright? Thank you all so much for being here. I love you all. Take care of yourselves and each other. Always do what lights you up, including winning. And as always, no matter what it is you do, stop worrying and shine on.